Imagine you're living in a small apartment in San Francisco in 2007, and your rent bills are giving you headaches. This was the situation for Brian Chesky and Joe Gebbia, two ambitious young men who were struggling to make ends meet. One day, they heard that the city was going to host a large conference, and all the hotels were fully booked. What would you do when opportunity knocks but your pockets are empty? Brian and Joe did something unexpected. They decided to turn their apartment into a place for strangers to stay. But could this crazy idea change the world? Let's dive into the inspiring journey of Airbnb, where an air mattress opened the door to a billion-dollar empire. Starting with an unbelievable idea. It all started one evening in 2007 when Brian and Joe realized they couldn't afford their rent. With the big conference approaching, thousands of people were looking for a place to stay. In a flash of inspiration, they decided to lay out air mattresses in the living room, prepare a simple breakfast, and invite strangers to stay at a cheaper price than hotels. They called this idea Air Bed and Breakfast, a name that sounded naive, but contained a big vision. The two quickly set up a simple website, and the surprising thing happened: 3 guests booked their rooms. That night, when the strangers walked into the apartment, Brian and Joe didn't just make enough money to pay the rent, but they realized something: the world was missing a new way to travel. But would anyone trust such a strange idea, staying in a stranger's house instead of a hotel? That question haunted them, and it was also the spark that drove them to keep going. A challenging journey. Will they give up? When Brian, Joe, and their third co-founder, Nathan Blecherczyk, decided to turn their idea into reality, they didn't know that the road ahead would be full of obstacles. The concept of the sharing economy, where people open their homes to strangers, was too new. Many laughed. Who would sleep at a stranger's house? What if something dangerous happens? Trust between people seemed like an impossible barrier to overcome. On top of that, investors weren't interested. They constantly rejected Airbnb, saying that a business model based on trust between strangers couldn't be sustainable. How can you compete with big hotels like Hilton or Marriott? They asked. Airbnb was almost out of money, and the toughest days made Brian and Joe wonder, were they on the wrong path? Moreover, as Airbnb started to grow, legal and regulatory issues began to arise. Many major cities like New York, San Francisco, and Paris implemented laws restricting short-term rentals, putting Airbnb at risk of being banned. On top of that, stories of bad experiences, from unsafe accommodations to scams, threatened to destroy the trust they had worked so hard to build. Could Airbnb survive this storm? Or would it be sunk like many other startups? Decisive action, building trust and changing the game. But Brian, Joe, and Nathan didn't give up. They understood that to succeed, they had to make Airbnb a place where people felt safe and trusted. One of their first moves was to build a review and rating system. After each stay, both hosts and guests could leave public feedback. This not only helped build transparency but also created a self-regulating community where people could rely on others' real experiences to make decisions. They also focused on the user experience. Airbnb wasn't just a place to book rooms, it was a gateway to unique experiences. Want to stay in a treehouse in Bali? Or a historic castle in France? Airbnb allowed you to find accommodations that suited your personality and preferences, something traditional hotels couldn't do. The user-friendly interface, dedicated customer support, and features like host verification and flexible pricing helped Airbnb become the top choice for millions. To scale, Airbnb knew they had to conquer the global market. They didn't just translate the platform into multiple languages, they also adapted to local cultures and needs. From tiny houses in Japan to luxurious apartments in Paris, Airbnb became an essential part of millions of travelers' journeys. A major turning point came in 2009 when Airbnb received an investment from Sequoia Capital, a top venture capital firm in Silicon Valley. This investment not only helped them expand their team and improve technology but also gave them the credibility they needed to attract millions of users. From there, Airbnb started to soar. Changing the industry, Airbnb becomes an icon. By the mid-2010s, Airbnb was no longer just a startup, it had become a global icon. It operated in over 220 countries. With more than 7 million listings worldwide, from cozy apartments to unique places like treehouses, castles, and snow tents, Airbnb had done what no one thought possible. It completely changed the hotel industry. Giants like Hilton and Marriott had to adjust their strategies and even create their own short-term rental platforms to compete. Airbnb wasn't just a place to book rooms, it was a way of life, a way to experience the world more authentically and intimately. Financially, Airbnb had achieved remarkable numbers. By 2020, the company was valued at $100 billion, making it one of the most valuable private companies in the world. Furthermore, Airbnb had changed the way we viewed travel. They had turned ordinary homeowners into small entrepreneurs and provided new income sources for millions of families worldwide. Lessons from Airbnb's journey. The story of Airbnb is not just about success, it's a lesson in perseverance, creativity, and belief in your idea. Brian Chesky, Joe Gebbia, and Nathan Blecharczyk proved that even the strangest ideas can change the world if you believe and take action. They faced skepticism, tough days, and massive legal hurdles, but never gave up. Airbnb's journey also shows us the power of technology. By building a user-friendly platform based on trust and community, they connected millions of people worldwide, creating a network no hotel could match. And most importantly, Airbnb teaches us that adaptability is the key to survival. From working with local governments to launching Airbnb experiences, where travelers can join activities like cooking classes or city tours with locals, they continuously innovated to meet market demands. An inspiring ending, will you be next? From a simple idea on an air mattress, Airbnb has grown into a global empire, changing the way millions of people experience the world. The story of Brian Chesky and his team is proof that sometimes, the boldest ideas can lead to the greatest successes. Are you ready to think differently, face your fears, and turn your ideas into reality? Airbnb's journey not only inspires but also reminds us that in a world full of challenges, those who dream big and never give up will write history. Keep following our channel to discover more inspiring success stories. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss any story. You could be the next to create a masterpiece. Are you ready?